Do 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 do. Fly me to the moon. Mm-hmm. Ba ba da ba 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 ba. Jupiter. In other words, I love you. In other words. Hello. This is Redneck Radio. Well, it's television really, but can't afford a radio. Decided to broadcast from a Bible. I've got a little bit of gumbo for dinner. It's good. Crocodile ain't here, but we got alligator stew. Yeah. And all the crocodiles in Australia, I believe, are cooked, fried, Southern style. We're back. Testing 1, 2, yes. Are we back? Yes, yes. What does this remind you of? Fly me to the moon. Ba, 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 ba. Just check if the karaoke machine's working. Yeah, it's going well. Can't cook, can't sing, can't do a thing. Dani G, international jet setter. I expect she'll come down here one day. But it's a nice night tonight. It's still about 30 degrees, which is about 90, but that's fine. No direct sun when the sun goes down, so it's pretty good. Chocolate.
Pretzels.
Oh. Actually, where did we have chocolate pretzels once? Was it Germany?
The shop. No, from here.
Was it? It was weird. Chocolate pretzels. I don't know if the other chat's still going, is it?
I just closed it.
I cannot stay, but I wanted to quickly say good evening and have a blessed weekend. It's Friday. You have a wonderful Friday night, wherever you're going. Probably flying somewhere, Puerto Rico, Brazil, on a Chocolate Airlines or Air Force One, one of the two. But have a great weekend. Have fun. And I put this whole hangout dedicated to you, flying high. But no, you're going to go now. That's okay. Don't worry about us. We'll just gather around on the tarmac where the rubber has met the road. We're saying, what's it? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Dani G. Yes, I think if we did a reproduction of the Rocky Horror Show, VMAC would have to be Riff Raff, I think, definitely.
If you what?
If we did a reenactment of the Rocky Horror Show,
Yeah.
VMAC would be Riff Raff.
No, that's what we said you would be.
No, I wouldn't do that. Come a little bit closer. Let's do the time warp again. It's just a jump to the right. Or left, actually, isn't it?
Jump to the left.
Jump to the left. Wah, 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 wah. Good show, though. Another old movie that reminds me of the wackiness of the Rocky Horror Show. Do you remember the shop where that really big plant grew and ate people? It's on the tip of my mind, the name of that movie, but it used to eat people. I'm sure VMAC will come up with the answer. She's got 19 computers going at the same time. Just follow that movie with the old eating plant. Yes. I tell you how I look at life. I always look at what could be things that would be very funny. Can you imagine, we're going back to 1963, Dallas, Texas, and there's the man in the Canada van dressed up as the security guy. You got the left wing? Yeah. I got the right wing as well. In my chicken shawarma. I just took my eye off him just for a moment as I went past a kebab shop. I'll think of it in a minute. Do you remember that old movie that had that big green plant that used to eat people?
Oh, Triffids.
Something Triffids, yeah.
The Day of the Triffids.
Was it the Day of the Could be.
Yeah, the Day of the Triffids or something it was called, with the green plants.
Right. It was a tiny little plant, remember, and it grew.
Yeah.
So, VMAC, we can find out a bit about your mind by asking you a series of questions.
Oh, God.
And they're fun questions. Like if I said to you, VMAC, you could have dinner with 3 people and you could choose either, even if they're dead or alive, to have dinner with them. Who would those 3 people be? Think about it.
Oh, who would you pick?
I will definitely have one of my guests as Billy Connolly. The other one would be Robin Williams. And probably the third one would be George Carlin, which you probably don't know.
No, I don't.
All comedians by nature. Very insightful men.
Well, I won't have to say those names for Vincent Price because I'll come to your dinners and then
She's working on the Fang thing here.
Then
Next to be Bela Lugosi.
Then I can meet them.
Boris Karloff. Oh, they make you just Mozart. Yeah, that's good. I like Mozart.
Jamie. I'll have dinner with Jamie.
Jamie who?
Outlander.
All right. And Sir John A. Macdonald. Don't know who that is. Is that the guy that gave birth to burgers? No, it's not. I'm just kidding. It's obviously a very famous Canadian, I guess. But think about having lunch with Mozart, VMAC, and I'm sure you're aware of this. You'd have to use sign language.
Why?
He was deaf.
I'd have dinner with the Queen Mother. Not Elizabeth.
Queen's mother.
Yeah.
Very shrewd woman. So at this stage we have Vincent Price, Mozart and Sir John A. Macdonald. Right. That's the first question. Second question. First Prime Minister of Canada fought tooth and nail to form Canada. One of my ancestors was a pioneer in Canada, believe it or not.
Who?
I won't mention his name because it'll give away my name.
Oh.
But yeah, very famous.
You should have known who said John McDonald.
No. Well, I'll do the obvious. VMAC, who was the first Prime Minister of Australia?
Next question.
Yeah. The next question is really interesting. And that is, you're going to a desert island. You're never going to get off this island, but that's okay. You're happy to do so. But you can take 2 people with you. Who would be the 2 people that you take to the island? Yeah, the Canadian Scottish history is sort of, you never hear about it. It's not like that important. I don't know why, because VMAC, S-O, I'm not sure. Myself, is that name? If you're going to a desert island, who would be the 2 people that you would take with you? And you're never getting off the island. Not objects or items, but 2 people. There's abundance of everything else. But you get to choose 2 people.
2 people, eh?
Significant other. Fine. There's one, which is very magnificent of you to do so. Because you didn't have to take him. You could have taken any two people, dead or alive, on the planet. Of course, if they were dead, they'd be alive on the island, you know what I mean?
Buttercup found her way back.
Welcome back, Buttercup. Bear Grylls. Well, that's probably a good choice. But
that's a good choice.
There's everything on the island. You're not going to go without food.
It doesn't matter. He can do all the killing.
Yep. Maybe she doesn't want him for that reason. Buttercup. So Bear Grylls is one, and this significant other is one. Who's the other one you're taking with you? It's the hardest of the questions to answer, actually, because when you're asked that you're not getting off, and you'll only have two other people on the island with you, it is a big decision. I'll give you the example of why it's a big decision. Say you've got 5 kids like we've got, you only can take 2. How do you choose?
No, but I didn't even go to that one. I was thinking of famous people, actually, so...
Emma would take a significant other so that they both have to suffer. That's funny, I like that. That's funny. Well, in sickness and in health. One of my cousins, he's a survivalist. That's interesting, your answer, because both are males. You freak off, Leroy, I will cut you. I don't know you, Leroy. This is VMAX speaking. I don't know you, but I will find you.
Yeah, good one.
When I find you, yes. Now here's the most important question. Yes, these are psychological questions. I do apologise. The most important question. You get one chance to write one letter from the island to one person.
Oh.
And you only ever get one. You don't get a repeat letter, you don't get a reply.
Oh, that's mean.
Who do you choose to write to?
So don't take your significant other and write him a letter.
Yep. Always be around people that make you laugh. You live longer. But that's the most poignant question of all. You're on the island, you've got plenty of food, water, you've got your significant other, there's Bear Grylls, it's all happening, everything's supplied. But who would you write one letter to? And it would only ever be one. Good morning, Rujix. Yeah, that's fine. And that is a good answer, writing one letter to one person who will relay. But you never get the thing is you never get a reply. And there's one last question. There's only one last question after this, but who would you write a letter to? Buttercup can answer as well.
I don't know who I'd write a letter to.
But you never get a reply, and you never get an opportunity to send another letter. We've got a good answer from VMAC, one of the family members, so they would relay to everyone else.
I write to the newspaper.
You're still not going to get a reply. So what
Doesn't
you
matter,
say...
but they needed to go out to the world and they'd come looking for me.
Well, only VMAX is playing the game. And it's only a game. It's not meant to be anything else. To my mother, telling her I forgive her. That's excellent. Because that's nearly stolen my thunder. The last question after that only letter that you could send to somebody is, what would you write to them? What would you say? This is your one opportunity. There is no other opportunity. Buttercup's pre-answered it by saying to my mother, telling her I forgive her.
I only just got that text. Jeez, I've got bad lag.
Who?
Usually I get to see the text before you.
Okay. These are thought-provoking. The first couple were just getting you into the mood about who you would take, etc. But
well,
12 Central Time. What time is it in Canada now? I'm guessing it's something like about 9:30 in the morning. George Carlin, some people will know who that is, famous political activist, comedian. He answered the last question, and he was an atheist, but it was funny. And George Carlin's letter was to God. He said to God, "Why the fuck have you put me on an island with these two other idiots?" I just pissed myself laughing, because it's the funniest answer I've ever heard. An atheist writing to God saying, "Why the hell have you put me on this fucking island with these two other idiots?" Now that's funny. And it was meant to be funny by George.
That's like that. What's that other guy? We've heard it on the Ricky show, and some other guy asks his guests questions.
Oh, there's the Actors Studio.
That's it.
Yeah, they're again psychological questions. What's his name? I do know his name, I just haven't got it in my mind at the moment. But he asks a series of questions to the same people, and they're the same questions every time.
Yeah, like one of them is, what makes you happy? Chocolate makes me happy, that's easy.
His best question in that, I can't think of his name, it's annoying me now. Anyway, his question would be, his best question is, if you weren't doing what you were doing now, what would you be doing? That's a really important question.
If I wasn't doing
Shama says, my letter would be to God. That's good.
See, I've got bad back. Now all of a sudden I've got texts coming through.
I'm not analysing anything there, Matt, trust me. That's not what I'm doing. It's a series of questions just to be thought-provoking for yourself. Rescuing koalas. Wow. You would never ever go out of work here. Sadly, they're talking about a billion animals being wiped out, which is just mind-boggling. Okay, read my last answer before I answer any more.
Okay.
I'm scrolling back.
I didn't read that. See, I didn't even see that text.
She says, I would tell them to get on with living. Remember our good times and tell them the next generation about me.
Ah, yes.
The good and the bad. Yep.
That's good.
Warts and all. Good answer.
I only just got that text and see.
Yeah, I didn't see it until I scrolled back.
That is very
good.
But
I'll ask you that question. What is his name? James somebody, I think it is. Anyway, question is, if you weren't doing what you were doing now, what would you be doing? In other words, you get a choice. You can stop being an actor or a political activist on e-begging channels like VMAC. What would you do other than what you do now?
Well, Rujix will be sleeping.
That'd be right.
Perhaps rescuing koalas. Yeah, I'd be, I don't know.
If I had a choice, I'd go back in time and become an explorer. That's true. You're always you, doing what you're doing now, but if you have an alternative option, you will always be you. You're quite correct there, Larry. But let's say you were a chef, and that's all you've ever done, what else would you be? Buttercup would be an actress. Well, you've got the figure, Buttercup, let's be honest. A bit like Betty Davies' eyes. You could be a different person every week. I wrote a book once, and I've never published it, but I'll give you the gist of the book, and that is that I'm going to use Rujix, for example. Rujix goes to sleep tonight, and he wakes up in a different time, in a different land. He may have a wife, children, he may not, but every time Rujix goes to sleep, it happens. Every time. So imagine Rujix waking up to the most beautiful woman in the world. She has a figure to die for. She's caring, loving, and ever so satisfying for all of his needs. And he has land and he has wealth. But Rujix knows that if he goes to sleep, it all changes. what would you think of a book like that? I, for one, would see Rujex with lead pencils in his eyes. I'm not leaving this lady.
Marine biologist.
But you know you have to go, sooner or later.
I couldn't be a marine biologist. I can't swim. I would like to do archaeology. I can't say it, but I'd
Asking
like to
God
do
to
it.
forgive all the people that have taken the shit on me, especially the ones that are held close to my heart. Yep. That's not a bad letter. The name of my book, and I'll tell you guys, you know the propensity of how things can change, different part of the earth, different circumstance. But like when you do wake up in the morning, they all know you. It's like normal for them. But let's say you're a bounty hunter in 1972, and suddenly you're back in 1813 and you've got a uniform on. That sort of thing. The name of my book is called Time Slides. I'm not making any of this up. I've written the book, trust me. It's called Time Slides.
Yeah, but there's a other one you
As
wrote
heads,
too. But
different times, etc. But how does it end, you ask? Well, 1995, you can buy the book and you will know. No, I haven't published.
there was something similar to that series we watched. That young skinny guy. He went back to wartime. Ended up having 2 families.
Well, I really don't care if someone made a movie out of it. I'd like to watch it. You could have a love story if you like. Do you get a chance to go back to the same time and place? Wow. Buy the book for 1995, you can find out. No, I'm not telling you. Maybe, maybe not. By saying that you think, well, yeah, obviously Seed's doing reverse psychology, and obviously you can. Well, I didn't say that. More likely you don't. Time Slides, written by Leroy Jenkins, based on a novel by Leroy Jenkins, bestseller, $15 billion gross.
Put us in your will, Leroy.
Hello, Leroy, I need to talk to you.
You getting coffee, VMAC? Yes, please, bring one back.
Well, I've got 2 books. That's one of them. And I may, one day, seek a publisher. Because some of it's funny. You know me well enough. There'll be funny bits, sad bits, horror, as in circumstances of where they are.
Yeah, that's true,
where
VMAC.
he is. But like I say, imagine Rujex waking up to the most beautiful woman in the world. She is unbelievable. And she cares for him, loves him, and he has wealth. He has everything at his feet. But Rujex knows as soon as he falls to sleep, it all changes. So there are some really funny bits in the book, trust me.
I thought we lost you, Buttercup. You said you were having electrical problems. She wants a sneak peek.
I've given you the gist of it. There's a lot more to it, but as in where and what happens. Maybe famous battles, maybe stranded, and going to sleep would be a benefit to go
You know
elsewhere.
what? Everybody could write a book, really.
Oh, everyone's got books in them.
I mean,
Everyone's got a story.
Well, yeah, the amount of stories you tell your kids will make up as they're growing up. Like, what's the name?
But I've always done that with our kids and grandkids. I've always told my kids stories, and they get really involved, and it's great to watch.
I mean, just look
The
at
imagination being let loose.
what's the name? What's the one Harry Potter who wrote all the Harry Potter stuff? What's
Yeah.
her name?
I know. What's her name?
I can't remember.
Come on.
What's her name?
She wrote it on a nappy, remember? Quick question. Buttercup has to give one. So the question tonight,
Oh,
who
yes.
wrote the Harry Potter scripts?
No, Buttercup's going to give a question. No, but she started by writing stories when her kids were little to tell them at bedtime, and then look at her now.
Well, with the kids and grandkids, what I do
She's
is
got
I'll give you an example.
Wicked imagination.
We're on a spooky island and we've come to a cave. You're right with me, are you? Yeah. And then we lean around the cave and there's a light,
That's it,
as you
Rowan.
can see. What do we see? And they'll tell me what we see. It's a monster. What sort of monster? So what I do is I get them to be the storyteller, which makes for a very funny story. But most kids and grandkids love these stories that end happily. And I do that.
Actually, one of our grandsons is a pretty good story writer, and it's quite emotional for his age what he writes. Good concepts. We could all write a story. It's just, could we be bothered?
Well, there are so many events. All of you would know the story of the Mary Celeste. There are similar stories, but I'm sure you all know the story of the Mary Celeste, the ghost ship wandering around the planet. Imagine if one of the events, I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, you wake up on board the Mary Celeste.
I'd like that. Oh, that's cool, VMAC.
It takes money if you are self-publishing, but if you're smart, you'll find someone that will take on. Look, the way most people succeed with incredible success is that they get their story and then it's re-edited and then it's sort of flexed a bit, and your story is in there, but it's not commercial. They're the words that you will hear. It's not really commercial. So what we've done is we've added a character, changed the circumstance, but we've kept the storyline. So you'll still get paid and a movie will be made, and that's how it goes.
That's true, Buttercup, because
No, you don't have to self-publish. I'm saying you're guaranteed to publish if you self-publish. I don't want to spend 80, 90 grand. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, if a book doesn't grab me in the first chapter, and then I'll flick somewhere in the middle of the book or to the end and read a sentence or so, then I just won't read it.
She looked out the window. It was the 17th century. Darcy was due back any day. She closed her eyes.
Oh God,
She
here we
could
go.
feel the
Mel's and
breeze on the back of the neck. She could imagine his hand touching her shoulder. Behave yourself.
He's going to do a Mills
A
and
tear
Boobs
came
now.
to her eye, but it didn't fall. It just glistened the eyeball. Darcy would be home soon. You're listening to Canada Radio, where every moose gets a fair go.
I mean, some people's diaries get published and they're interesting. I like true stories, actually. I like novels that are fact.
Truth is far more better than fiction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a good...
Fiction's hard work.
I don't mind a good fiction, but I do prefer fact.
I'll change the version to suit VMAC. VMAC looked out the window. It was the 17th century. Her better half was coming home, and she knew that if he wasn't home soon, he would pay a price. He would be chained and put into the cellar once more. All she wanted was 4 kilos of chocolate, and if he didn't come back with the 4 kilos, there would be no touching of the shoulder, but there would be a glisten of the tooth. Stay tuned for episode 2 of The Moose Copped It.
Missing of the tooth.
Lots of typos today on multitasking. You're probably ironing your bikini to go on this wet toboggan adventure. Rain and snow, don't mix. Just get some rum, sit under the veranda.
Yes.
I think if you can get the full gamut of emotions from people reading your book, you have succeeded. You don't want la-la happiness all the way through. You want a little bit of uncertainty. You want maybe something tragic. Doesn't affect you, it's tragic all the same. And then you want something that's humorous, fill you with laughter and joy, and you want bits of passion thrown in there. You know what I mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
It's just a party.
You want life with ink
right.
and pages to deliver it. That sounds good. That means you've got party food to prepare. Hot chicken wings? Sausage rolls? Canadians like sausage rolls. Or, what's that famous Canadian slop with chips and gravy? What's that called again?
What?
Oh, they love it. They like that. I think it's cheese in there, gravy, and chips. And the Canadians call them chips, they don't call them fries. Do you know that the best thing to do? Oh, you could try this today, VMAC, if you wanted to. Is that you explain to people that you're going to start telling a story, and you get to have 1 minute to start the story off. Poutine, that's what I'm thinking of, rejects, yep. Not gravy, poutine sauce and cheese curds. That's right, cheese curds.
What's poutine?
That's the name of the dish.
It's sauce and cheese curds. Oh.
Poutine sauce and cheese curds. Cheese curds are popular all over the world, actually.
Hey, Leroy's telling you off. Don't disrespect the poutine.
Leave the poutine alone. The fat Harry will come round. But can you imagine sitting around a campfire, a few drinks, and you say, what I'm going to do, this is you, VMAC, I'm going to start a story. You might have a couple of characters in there, an event, something's happening, and then you stop after 1 minute and say to Shemo, now I want you to continue the story for 1 minute. It is fascinating to watch it unfold, because everybody puts a bit of them in the story. It's funny as, really is. And of course, by the time it gets back to VMAC, depending how many people are involved, it could have been, VMAC started off as an explorer on the ice, blah, blah, blah. When it gets back to VMAC, she's a seamstress in Beijing in the 14th century.
That's like Chinese whispers.
Yeah, but it's funny because everyone contributes. And then you always see this. You'll see the, say, third or fourth person will say to VMAC, yeah, but you've got to add the chicken. Don't forget the chicken I put in my story. It really is very funny. That would not be at my party, not what we do. We all get naked and put maple syrup on us. Just kidding. You wouldn't waste that much maple syrup. But it brings out some funny things with people, particularly those that really don't want to be involved. Oh, I don't want to do it. Go to the next person. No, you go, oh, jeez, all right. So what was it, a pirate, 3 slaves, and we were going to Canada. All right, well, I built a space rocket. You always get someone that does this. I built a space rocket, put the ship on there, and filled it with water so the ship could float. They always want to stuff up the story, but then it's someone that adds to it. It's hilarious. Quote of the day.
Quote of the day, slop.
Oh, I'm sure you take no offence from what I said. I didn't use the word slop. If I did, I will erase it from this video. But no, I mean, it looks okay. Like I say, cheese curds are very yum. Everyone's different. It's like we have different tastes, like obviously Vegemite. I should send VMAC some Vegemite.
And Buttercup, we've got to send us some.
I know Buttercup would have tried Marmite, but it's not the same. Slop. A generation of YouTubers come together to get their poutine on. Vegemite's nice. We all have sort of, like the national dish of Australia, even though we have every culture here you can imagine, is still the pie. Americans call them pot pies, but it's pastry all around, meat in it, of some sort. All different flavours, but the pie is the national dish. To give you an idea, at any major sporting event at the MCG, we have 100,000 people turn up for a game. They will probably eat 200,000 pies, and I'm not kidding.
Buttercup, you don't like...
What the hell is Vegemite? Well, I could let VMAC explain to you, but it looks like tar off a road. You know, when it's really hot day and you get that tar come up. It looks like that.
It does.
VMAC will back me up. And it's sort of bitter and salty. But it's pleasant. The best way to try Vegemite for the first time is just get a bit of bread and butter, one piece, get some cheese, and then get Vegemite and fold it over. Sort of ease you into the Vegemite.
That's the wimp way. Are you talking about Vegemite buttercup that tastes like week old salts? You put it on toast.
Steak and kidney pies.
No, I'm not having that. I
What?
do not like steak and kidney.
No, but you'll eat steak and mushroom, because I've made you heaps of pies like that.
Yeah. I see VMAX making steak and
I mean,
kidney
the concrete
pies.
nut house. It's an acquired taste. But I can guarantee, out of 25 million Australians, 20 million would have a piece of toast and Vegemite in the morning.
Yeah, because we
That's
do.
how normal it is here.
Well, I won't be coming to VMAX's house while she's cooking steak and kidney pie because I don't even like the smell of it.
Oh, it's sort of an old pub food, steak and kidney pie. One way to fill a pie up is use some offal. What if you could make a poutine pie? Just a thought. Probably not. But food is universal. And like I said before, if I got Chamo, VMAC, Buttercup, and everyone else to make a shepherd's pie, and I didn't say how you had to make it, you just made it. And we all met at VMAC's place, we'd say a dozen shepherd's pie. Not one would be the same as the other. That's it. Would not be the same. What are you going on about? I like Virginia in the morning. Don't you like Oregon or New Mexico? He likes
it's
Virginia.
A song.
I'm trying to cover his track. I think VMAX got him up against the wall with her claws in his throat.
I'm lost now. I have no idea.
Fangs are out. You're a
I
dead
have
man.
no idea.
Officer VMAC wants to question you, Shannon. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will and used be in court against you. And we're already, VMAC says you're already guilty, we're just going through the motions.
What else are you going to be cooking, VMAC?
Easy food if you've got people around. A good chilli. Throw in a heap of cheese at the end. Mixed it in and throw another bit of cheese on top. Chili beef dip. Yum. Some people just go overboard when they have a function like you'll have 20 people turn up to the house. There's enough food to feed 400 people.
Yeah, but we do that.
No. That's not true.
We have.
We have
that.
nibbles, crackers, cheese, fruits, tomatoes, things like that.
Homemade soup, some chilli, and there'll be barbecuing.
Yep, chili's always a good go-to. I'll tell you what chili beef makes. I don't know whether Americans or Canadians do this. You know your standard chili that you make. It's not super sloppy, it's not super thick. It's great as a spaghetti bog, otherwise make your spaghetti up and put your chili on top of that. Yum. I've got about 5 packets I've got made up in the freezer that I eat, but it's too hot for
No,
me.
I can't eat it.
But I'll give a couple to my son-in-law, he loves it. Bread, VMAC, is an alcohol absorber. If you feed people, they drink less. There's nothing worse than having a party where there's just 2 crackers to go amongst 10 people. All they do is drink. I've only done it a couple of times in my life, but I did the pig on a spit. Man, it's absolutely magnificent. Crackle heaven. The meat is juicy. Yum. Yep, snack food. That's the go. I would prefer to sit down and just nibble on snacks at a party than have a big meal. Otherwise you can come and go as you please and do it that way. Potatoes are always good. Do millions of things with potatoes. Yep, just stole your thunder. I said potatoes just because of all your remark, Buttercup. Roast pork, apple, yum. And gravy. Where's the gravy? Where's the gravy, Buttercup? And salad for the healthy folk. Well, that'll be just VMAC. The rest are carnivores. They sweep across her front lawn from the ocean. They eat everything in their path. She throws carrots at them, but it doesn't stop them.
Steak and ribs for the barbie.
I cheat with ribs when I get people come round. I already pre-cook them the night before. Too easy.
We make salads, but
We're
not
pretty
a
standard
lot.
salads. We'll have a green salad.
Yeah, we don't do
We'll have potato
overboard.
salad and a pasta salad. That's about it.
Because that's the only thing I find gets chucked out the most
Yeah.
when at the end of a party is salad stuff for some reason.
Yep. I like beef ribs as a preference.
Did you hear my name?
I have a couple of videos on my channel about beef spare ribs. Just saying. 1995, you can watch them. Just kidding.
Well, that's true, mate.
Are sausages popular there, VMAC? You always have a whole heap of snags, as we call them, sausages, on the barbie. Kids go for them in a big one.
And
If you talk sausage to an American, they think you're making biscuits and gravy. I said, no, a sausage.
fried onion.
I mean, good sausages here from the butcher are about $13, $14 a kilo. So you get about 8 for a kilo. I have 10% power. I'm going to lose power. I'm giving it all I got, Skip. South Africa. Well, my battery warning has come on. It says you have 10% left, which I think I've got 5 minutes.
If that.
And then all will die.
And probably the chat's going to go too shortly.
Yes, no, that's very popular in Australia. And the Portuguese do one like the Maltese where they have the sausage go round and round and round like that. Chamo? Yum. Portuguese food is absolutely delicious. They have spices, but they're not like overbearing spices. It's flavour for the Portuguese. So I'll give you a 2-minute warning, people. Say goodbye to each other.
Group hug.
If you have to, choose one person to send a letter to. I'm only kidding. It's a great exercise, though, that little series of questions I gave you. It makes people think what's important.
Oh, we've had sausages from all over the world.
I have one question because Buttercup hasn't given one, but she'll know the answer to this. On Spike Milligan's gravestone, what does it say? Spike Milligan was a famous English comedian. And
Yeah.
on his gravestone, he wrote something. What did he have to say on his gravestone? It's very funny. 1 minute, warning, warning. The answer to the question, what is written on the gravestone of Spike Milligan, is,
I can't remember.
I told you I was ill.
Oh, that's right.
Nice is overrated, but you can just put a small smidgen of nice on a piece of bread every now and then, VMAC, and then pretend to give it to someone and take it away. Anyway, to all of you, have a great day, have a great party, VMAC, I hope it goes well.
And you can go to Chamo's chat, which is, I don't know.
Chamo
when.
starts in about an hour? Is that when your hangout starts, Chamo?
We'll be asleep by then.
I'll put the alarm on, just so I can come and say,
Yeah,
g'day.
just so we can troll him, hey? We'll put the alarm on and
I'm not going to try. All right,
we won't
as
tell
they
him
said
it's-
in the famous Star Wars movies, may the poutine be with you.